So here we are again. Let's talk about Iran. And it's the issue on everybody's lips, isn't it? Iran and the United States of America. And if we want to discuss Iran, we want to discuss the issue of Iran and the way things are going, then we actually really need to understand what American motivation is in regard to this. And it's an interesting one. I mean, obviously, America's been ratcheting up the pressure on Iran, especially since the tightening of sanctions, whereby the United States of America insisted that countries like Japan in particular joined the sanctions regime against Iran in order to what? I mean, that was the beginning of it in this latest phase, this latest incarnation. And the way it goes, there was a fellow called Stephen Walt that analysed this. He's from Harvard. He analysed it in Foreign Policy magazine. I quite liked his analysis. He said he suggested that one possibility was that it was a kind of kabuki theatre business. So, kabuki theatre, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's not real. It's all playing to the gallery. Very, very possible. So this was Alternative A in Stephen Walt's book, that Donald Trump was playing to the gallery, playing to the media, playing to his constituency, with whom he had made a big deal of toughening up on Iran. And so, great. That's one option as to the motive of America. The second was a New Deal, that America was pushing for a New Deal on Iran. And interesting, I mean, certainly it fits in with Trump's style. He said, come and talk to us, Iran. We're ready to talk. We don't like the old nuclear deal. Let's have a new deal. And what he's talking about is a deal that deals with everything. And many of us felt in the early days that cherry picking of the nuclear deal on its own and dealing with it on its own, separate from other issues which were causing concern with regard to Iran, was a mistake by the international community, by America and Britain and Germany and France, the great nations that were pushing for this nuclear arrangement. Of course, America's reneged on it now, but there you go. So the question became, are we looking at a New Deal here? I mean, are we looking at a step towards a New Deal, or is this an actual genuine attempt at regime change? However unlikely that may seem. You remember John Bolton, the National Security Advisor for the United States of America, has made it very clear from the beginning that he really believes in regime change, as he puts it. I hate the word regime, but anyway, regime change. I dislike the word regime because people use it disparagingly of any government of which they disapprove. So an Iranian might talk of the Israeli regime, a Saudi might talk of the Iranian regime, it's in many ways it's childish to use the word regime in this context as a word to just hammer a government that you disapprove of. But journalists do it, everybody does it. Never mind. The point being, regime change, is it practical? Given the fact that you would need to get the people on side. Well, you're not going to get the Iranian people on side by throwing sanctions at Iran, are you? It's not going to help your effort for regime change, I would not think. But there you go, that's me. The fourth of Stephen Walt's possible motivations for the United States of America is that it is driving towards a preventative war. And this is the thing that all the world is frightened of now with regard to the USA and Iran. Is the USA driving forward into a situation where we will have a war? I don't think so. I genuinely don't think so. But it is a possibility. In other words, that in the back of the minds of the US administration is a sense of glee at the prospect of war, and that This is a motive. Let's go to war, boys. I don't think that for a moment, actually, but more on that in a minute. And the fifth possibility, identified by Stephen Walt, is that this is containment plus. Containment plus. Yeah, I can see that. Put Iran in a box, put a lid on the box, and just keep it there. Containment plus. You deal with this nation that's causing you trouble, that's getting too big for its boots. You support your allies in the region, Egypt, Israel, the United States' other ally, of course, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You support your great allies, and you drive Iran into a corner, put the lid on the box. Containment plus. I think that really is where America's coming from, with a little bit of the first motive, a little touch of kabuki theatre, a little touch of melodrama and show. Yes, but there is a danger here, isn't there? We remember the other Donald. I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about the other great Donald of modern history, Donald Rumsfeld. He used to talk about known unknowns. Known unknowns. Well, there are known unknowns with regard to this situation with Iran at this moment. And that's what we need to talk about next.